Hello, I'm a college student who needs your help. People are always in search of their idea of a springy gold nib to smoothly bounce along with their writing, and well, I don't care. I have to write on copy paper frequently, and I need a nib like a rock to punch through it. People usually ask about soft nibs, but do you have any recommendations for something just short of a nail? Well, it's funny you mention a nail because that's how most people refer to nibs that are really stiff. They call them nails. Definitely stick with steel nibs. You really don't need to buy gold nibs. You know, you probably aren't shopping for gold nibs really anyway. Being on a college, you know, most people on a college student budget aren't buying $150 and up pens. You totally could. It's up to you. But I don't think you need to, especially for what you're looking for. That's part of the advantage of going with a gold nib is gold is softer than steel, so you're going to get a little bit more springiness and stuff in general when you go with gold nibs as opposed to steel. If you're looking for something super stiff, pretty much any steel nib is going to help get you there. Not always the case. Some have designs so that they have added flexibility, like Noodler's flex pens, obviously, but like a Platinum Cool has a springier nib. You know, there's like thinner nibs, like even the Pilot Metropolitan is pretty stiff, but you can get a little bit of spring on it if you try. So I would say in general, if you pretty much stick with the less expensive pens, you're going to get there. I think Lamy has generally got pretty stiff nibs. Faber Castell as well has stiff nibs. Going with smaller steel nibs is going to generally be pretty stiff for you. If you're going with a larger nib, it may, just because of the nature of the long length of the nib, you know, going with something with a number 6 size nib is going to be there. But, you know, TWSBI's got pretty stiff nibs. There's really a lot of options for you. You know, unless you're going with something specifically designed to be springier, you're essentially going to have pretty stiff nibs with most any steel nib pen. One thing I will say is part of the technique of how you hold it too makes a difference. Jinhao might be another good option for you. They're also very cheap. It's got a larger nib on it, and if you hold it at a lower angle, it's going to give more leverage to be springy, but if you're holding it more upright, it's going to write much stiffer. Just even with the exact same pen, holding it at a slightly higher angle is going to make it so that you are writing with a stiffer feel. So that's something else to take into consideration. If you feel like something is kind of springy, check how hard you're pressing, and then check that angle too. Get that angle up higher and you're going to be okay. And then basically when you're writing and pushing down hard and trying to like really press in, going with a broader nib is usually going to be better. The finer the nib you go with, usually the more variation you're going to see in your writing. You got to balance that out, because if you're using, you know, inexpensive paper, it's usually going to be more absorbent. So if you go with a broader nib, it's going to be smoother and write easier as a stiff nib, but at the same time, it's going to put down a little more ink. So you got to kind of balance that out. So, you know, I would think that you could find something pretty good for you in kind of that range. So hopefully that helps you out.